Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the SaskTel Curling Stadium live coverage of the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. Monday morning means it's time for the semifinals. My name is Sean Joyce, and I'm joined for this morning's broadcast by Jeff Chambers. Jeff, we've got, both semifinals are rematches of A event games with the other A semifinal, Adine and Jung. The two international teams in the field played each other in the very first draw. Gauthier and Cooey, who we have in our game, played Friday night in their second game for both teams. Gauthier came out with the win there and did so on the way to capturing the A event berth. Cooey came through the B.
Yes, a little rematch. The Gauthier team, a young team out of Victoria, BC, and looking to make a statement right here in Swift Current as they've won all their games so far. Very impressive streak. Started off by beating Pleiter, then Cooey, then Flash, and then Pleiter again to get to the semifinal action. So they're looking to keep this adrenaline going, and hopefully we're in for a great game this morning.
By virtue of winning the A event berth, they do have last rock here in the first end of play. Through the preliminary round, the two teams will draw to the button. In the playoffs, it is the team that came through the higher event. So Gauthier with last rock, throwing the red stones. And that hit looks like it might have just rolled off the rings. Cooey feeling either it's too close to leave it there or maybe it's biting. Hard to tell from the overhead camera. Cooey team registered out of Calgary. This is the lead, Bradley Thiessen. The second, Bradley Thiessen. The lead is Carrick Martin. Tyler Tardy playing third, and Kevin Cooey is the skip. And I was working one of Gauthier's games earlier in the week, and they are listed out of Victoria. And I'm trying to remember the connections, and I haven't looked it up yet. I know Jacques from Manitoba originally, and I'm not entirely sure that the team that he's playing with here out of Victoria isn't the remnants, or at least two of the players, remnants from Tyler Tardy's old team.
Yes, that could very well be, yeah.
I thought I heard that somewhere, and I haven't looked it up, and nobody on the chat could confirm it for me. This is the second, Jason Ginter, the lead, Alex Horvath with the brush down. The third is Sterling Middleton, and the skip, Jacques Gauthier, looking for the hit and perhaps flop under cover here. They might have let that get away from them. Catches the guard, and with that quiet weight, does hold his shooter in the rings now. We've got another one where it's tough to tell from the overhead camera, that yellow on the right-hand side as you look at it from the overhead. That might be biting.
Yeah, I would guess just from the experience of seeing them that that one would be a biter. So I believe this just to sit 3 and it's much open house, but to sit 3, there's a good chance to they get through to a force right on the first end. But lots of rocks to come and lots of action yet. So
Thiessen will try to hit this right on the nose. They want to keep some separation there. There's definitely a double available on the 2 that we know for sure are in the house. You have to think, you saw Gauthier's signal, let's try to come across the top of this and maybe make the double and spin further over. He's playing this like he's pretty sure that other one's in. You just straight up play the double if you weren't worried about that rock being in the house. But it matters, you know, that little biter, if it's in, you got to make 2 doubles to get back to a blank situation.
looks pretty solid right off the bat here, just as he called it.
And does get enough of a spin up that he started to get those rocks a little closer together. Just got the one out the back. It's still in play, but out of the rings. Tyler Tardy will be looking to roll back towards the center line, but they do have to be a little careful now with that Yellowstone just out the back. Boy, this one's really starting to move. They're gonna have to really go to make contact. It's gonna slide by. Interesting now. This might change things for Gauthier. He has to think it's in if he's hitting it, but you hit it, your 2 stones are going to be close enough together for a double. You could simply split the house and try to hold the deuce.
Yes, in this curling game, things can change so fast. Within 2 shots, we're going to see difference of literally 5 points. It goes from sitting 3 yellow to most likely sitting 2 red, just like that.
Gauthier came through the A event, as we mentioned earlier, won his qualifying berth, would have been Saturday afternoon, and had to sit for over 24 hours waiting for the qualifiers last night, the quarterfinals. Actually had a very strong game in that quarterfinal, controlled most of the game, and then Rylan Kleider, down 4 coming home, managed to get the game into an extra end, and here's another flashed hit.
Both over curled on that one side, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of curl out there, and I don't think they're expecting those rocks to grab so much. And you get out to the fresh stuff out nice. I know it's the first end and everything, but might have just caught them off guard. And see, Kevin's giving them a little more ice on this one, and going to make sure he puts a good rotation on this to make sure that they don't lose this rock.
Did take the stone out of the back, so nothing to jam on here. No worries that way. Makes the hit, does roll to the center. It's flat, but there might still be a double there. He doesn't have to move the second one very far. Indication from Jacques, maybe looking just nose hit, thinking if he can exchange a pair of nose hits, there's a better angle.
This is quite a bit less ice on this one, Sean, so I'm not sure if they're picking. Oh, he's definitely throwing firm, yes.
Yeah, he's going for the double. And it kind of looked like that wasn't curl. I think that was all release. That looked like it was moving as it came out of his fingers.
Yeah, a couple sloppy, I think, releases here early on by both teams there, and with this curling ice, it's really going to curl. We've been talking about it quite a bit in our other broadcasts, but for club curling, this Jason Broughton and his crew have really got these rocks and the ice moving quite a bit more than what you normally see in club curling, and they wanted to give a really good experience of that extra turn that they see out on arena ice, and maybe it's even catching these top guys.
The rollout gives Kevin Cooey an opportunity to draw here in the first end, and you know, you play the practice session before, and I know that they didn't have to draw to the button here. We got a chance to see a little bit of the practice session, and looked like they still played primarily the same types of shots they would play in the normal practice, where they're drawing to the button. Still nice in the first end. As the skip, you always like a chance to establish your draw to the button. So good opportunity here for Kevin Cooey to just reaffirm that in his mind. Yes, they've already played a number of games here, 5 games I believe it is for the Cooey team, and he's played this shot probably 20 or 30 times already this weekend. But you still love having that chance to play it with no risk in the first end. Puts it almost straight across from the rock that we think might be biting, just outside the edge of the 12. So no double here. Jacques Gauthier will look to hit right on the nose. And then assuming that Kevin Cooey noses it again, with last rock, does Gauthier make an attempt at the double and roll out? It's a little risky. If you ever go by the second stone, it could be a steal. Rusher's just cleaning this now, picking it up a little more firmly. Makes the hit. We'll roll a couple of feet towards that outside yellow.
Definitely a lot of curling action here out there with the rocks. Quite surprised just with the amount of room that they're having to take and getting the inside rolls with. So the guys are going to definitely have to keep an idea. I'm not sure if they repapered the rocks. Normally they don't do that necessarily going into the final games, but there's something that's causing a lot of movement out there, and both teams kind of got set off by it so far this end.
Well, I'm glad you were the one that mentioned it. I was thinking it. That, yes, you don't very often see it in an event like this. Certainly, because it didn't look like they were moving this hard last night. You wouldn't think they'd do it between the quarterfinal and the semifinal. They certainly wouldn't do it without telling the players. But it still, even at that, would take some getting used to. Kevin Cooey makes the hit, stays right there. Gauthier put the broom down. I'm not sure whether they're playing the double. The double doesn't help you unless you can roll out. Now, there is a way to make this, and you saw it actually earlier when they were playing the first double and spun up. If he hits the first one a little bit thick, comes to the top of that second stone, he can spin his shooter out of the rings.
I think they indicated that they're just going for the one, but
yeah,
a lot of times you'll see the teams with that much room go for the draw, and I'm actually quite surprised because this is the spot that got them with the overcurl earlier, but looks like it was probably just a throwing issue. As you say, he's very confident with that.
Makes the hit, stays in the 12-foot. Put 1 point on the board for Jacques Gauthier. He's got the lead over Kevin Cooey. Cooey with the last rock when we come back.
can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling.
Second end underway here. Gauthier with a 1-0 lead. Started us off with a center guard. The come around is that stone you see on the top of the button. And now with his second stone, Alex Horvath taps it back to the back of the button. Does look like the Cooey stone, the yellow stone at the back of the button, still shot rock. And that red Gauthier stone, well, maybe a quarter undercover or a little less. Carrick Martin going to be asked to come down. Wants to get to the face of it. Probably wouldn't mind tapping this straight back and chipping that yellow over. As much as they like having a rock on the button, they probably are not thrilled to have it on the back corner of the button. Looking for some curl here. He wants to get to the nose, doesn't want to tap it on that angle right onto the yellow stone. You can see Tyler Tardy on the brush on the yellow, sweeping it back just to create some separation.
Well, it looks like we're going to get some angles into play for the fans here, Sean. We're going to, if it gets a little hit and roll. And second end, we've noticed a difference too. The teams seem to be a little more aggressive in those second ends or fourth ends, or basically the even ends, trying to generate the counting points on those even ends.
You see a lot of the top teams here. We've got another one really taking off on them. I don't know if we can make contact with the yellow at all. Boy, every kind of bad break he could get on that one. Kills his own, moves the yellow at the back farther over to the corner, which helps Kevin Cooey. And rolled over to sit open. Also leaving a bit of a pocket there with the yellow stone, and that's what Kevin Cooey's going to ask Bradley Thiessen to draw into.
The guys are a little perplexed on what's happening here with some of the shots, and they'll be questioning whether the rocks are grabbing a little bit more. You don't always get perfectly matched rocks at club level. Well, you don't get them at the world level necessarily, so they're going to have to figure out if one's moving a little harder than the rest and make that adjustment early on here before they lose any more shots. But I think it's a lot just with the ice moving, as you can see another one just swinging in here.
Well, the upside on this one for Kevin Cooey, if you overcurl the pocket, you're buried. But the downside is you could probably make the double off the other yellow stone. That's what Jacques Gauthier is looking at. Hitting the stone behind the broom first, coming straight sideways into the other yellow.
That one actually ended up in about one of the worst spots you can. It basically lines this up for them in a couple different ways.
I was actually surprised they didn't try to keep sweeping it to dead bury it and maybe bring it even with the red. Makes the double, sits right there. There's a double back on the reds with the possibility to roll in behind. I heard control. I've got a little bit of I can hear them on the ice. We don't have mics directly on the players, but there are mics at ice level. I think the viewers at home have been able to hear a lot of the feeds from the ice level mics. We've got a few more things figured out and a few less things to worry about with only 2 games on this morning, so I've actually got that feed in my headset for the first time. Wanted to get to the inside, just going to get to the double, and I was wondering about that myself. If there was any chance that was going by. It clips the yellow at the back, removes it from the rings. So now just the one stone in the rings, the Cooey stone belonging at the top of the 8-foot, and it is open with room for Sterling Middleton to try to roll under the guard. This end has swung back and forth a few times already.
Yeah, they definitely got the rocks into play, but it doesn't take long to maneuver rocks around. They're going to try to find a hiding spot here.
Going to roll, but actually it's going to roll just past the guard. That's edge to edge, or maybe the edge just slightly underneath the guard, but certainly with the way these rocks appear to be moving this morning with hack weight, and that was the call, there's room to get to the inside of that and bury the shooter. Had the brush down early, now looking for some extra curl at the end once they're sure it's by.
It's a very good shot. Cooey showed a little patience on that one. He's been noticing a lot of the rocks over curling, and so they made sure to get the early sweep on there to make sure that they could hold it and control that, and played the safe shot there rather than being too fancy to get the perfect roll. They wanted to make sure they made the shot at hand first.
Chance now for Sterling Middleton to try to get behind the guard, and you'll see them do it the same way. Hold the line early and then switch the sweep, try to carve it in at the end. Maybe a little bit more weight for Middleton there, didn't get quite as much curl. Flops a little bit to the outside, so they don't have to negotiate the guard now, but need to roll a good 2 feet to get buried. Calls both ways. It's going to get a roll. It's a question of whether or not it's far enough. And boy, that moved at the end and over rolls on them just out the other side of the guard. Gauthier with the chance now to get under cover. Late enough in the end here, one good roll from either team. We could see either a steal or a deuce. You have to assume, I think, considering the teams that we're looking at here, if Jacques Gauthier makes the roll here, I would anticipate Kevin Cooey will take one run at the run back double. See if he can't get out of this with a blank, because Gauthier would, if he makes the roll, he's going to be biting the top of the 4. Make sure they're by, switch the sweep. Rolls about an inch, but still mostly exposed, so Kevin Cooey will have a chance to make a play on it now. Though looking to roll well over to the corner, thinking blank all the way here. Pretty tough to get a roll underneath on that.
Absolutely. He's just got to be, they got to be very aware they're going to control their weight here with just control weight to ensure that they keep the shooter around. They don't want to leave the opportunity to draw one in there and bury one.
Right away. Wants to roll away, doesn't want to stay where it's an easy roll behind the guard for Jacques Gauthier, but not going to get as much roll as he would have liked.
Well, we've seen a few of the perplexed looks out there on the faces of the skips and the throwers, just not finding that exact spot to get those rolls that they're looking for. So they're going to work their way through and figure out their rocks and figure out the curl and figure out the best weight to use to see if they can start hiding some rocks and getting them to where they want to go. So definitely a common look on their faces this morning so far.
Jacques Gauthier with his final stone here in the second end, leading by 1 without last rock, looking for the hit and roll behind cover to, at the very least, force Cooey to try to take his single here. Well, rolls to leave about half exposed, and that's enough for Kevin Cooey to take a run at the blank.
That was a pretty good shot, though. That was very close to being perfectly buried, just showing maybe half a rock at best. So Kevin Cooey, no stranger to Swift Current, won this event last year, had a different team with him. Like many of these teams have done a lot of changes around this year that you've definitely seen, Sean, but he wants to get right back into that winner's circle.
With the big weight, picks that stone out of the top of the 8-foot, will roll his shooter out. We've got a blank end here in the second. Jacques Gauthier continuing to lead 1-0 over Kevin Cooey as we go into the third.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Oh, and we get down to just the two sheets in play here. The semifinals Monday morning. We've got a few extra cameras. And it allows us for some interesting views. Nice shot of the ice there. You can see the action over on... you'll have to help me out. Which numbers are the sheets?
Yeah, sheets. Looks like... Oh, we're on sheet 4, so I think they're over on sheet 2.
They're using 2 through 5 for the event. Center guard went up to start this end. We saw the come around. Second center was thrown. Now Cooey throwing one to the corner. And this is interesting to me. You threw the tight center guard, they came around it. You threw a second center guard, and now you're going to run it back? Like, if you were going to do that, why didn't you play the run back on the last one when it was easier? Makes it. Still, it's a questionable call. And now your two center guards are not lined up anymore.
Yes, it was different there how he was setting up that end, or maybe he just pictured that or didn't like
I
the way
don't
the angles were. I'm
don't
not
think
too
I've ever
sure
seen
this
that
one.
before. I can't recall ever seeing that before. To make the double raise, now the raise stone did roll out into the open. Bradley Peason with a chance to make the hit, roll back under cover. Waiting on this one to curl. Trying to help it over now. Will make the hit, but he's going to stay right there. So a chance for the Gauthier team to make the roll under cover. Jason Ginter. On the brush on this one early. We have seen some over curls, and he's got very, very little weight on this. This was supposed to be a takeout, and that's draw weight. That would not have gotten through the rings.
Yeah, it's a surprising couple little mistakes. These it's obviously a very solid team, and coming into this undefeated, just trying to find their way around the ice level this morning.
Well, I didn't see or hear anything from the brushers to make me think that it picked, but certainly didn't have the weight they were looking for. And we've seen a few bad breaks already in this game. Another bad break there for the Gauthier team. Not only did you not get by the guard, but where they pushed it over, it's actually guarding one of the Cooey stones at the back of the 8-foot.
Kevin will just figure out a way to try to maximize this. He wants to take advantage of that opportunity. So instead of looking at, okay, how can we score 2, he's thinking, how can we score 3 and keep this in a spot to avoid the double?
Well, yeah, thinking how we can score 3, but I think the other thing he's concerned about is that yellow stone that's at the top of the 8. It's a 2.5, 3-foot roll to get buried, and now there's a second guard over there too. So he doesn't just want to leave that opportunity for Gauthier. So looking to maximize what they can get out of this rock by taking away that hit and roll, playing a bit of a split, see if he can get the roll in behind cover himself. Just like that.
Great shot, mate. Just a little too heavy to bounce that back out, but that was a great try.
Good shot, not Grady. A little more weight. He had probably more weight than Ginter had on the previous shot. Takes that yellow out the back. He does roll in behind cover. And for Kevin Cooey now, this is the kind of end you like to play. You've got one half of the sheet completely wide open for your last one. Try to set up your first point on the side that's buried. Jacques Gauthier going to try to do some damage control here, looking for another run back. Ideally, they'd love to stick this. I don't know that there's a double available. It would be awfully steep. This one's curling on them. Now, they do have the option to clip the other stone, and that's what they will do. That actually works out very well for them, because now the stone remaining in the 4-foot is wide open. If you're only going to kill one, if you can kill one and open up the other one, that works out. We now will ask Tardy to draw open side. They're going to try to keep their rocks as far apart as they can for the rest of this end.
Fabulous weight control there, and split the house very nicely. About as good as you can do.
Dead even, so Jacques Gauthier, rather than worry about trying to group these rocks, is going to try to make one pass at rolling underneath the corner guard. They can get shot rock buried.
Well, this is the spot in the ice that they've been suffering here, trying to figure out and having a few overcurls. So we'll see if they figured it out on this one. So far, so pretty happy with it.
Makes the hit. Gets most of that rock under cover. There is maybe a quarter of it sticking out.
Well, that was a fabulous hit and roll, and that'll make them there as a fist pump to a little bit more happy to figure out that line that's been getting away from them. So looks like they're starting to figure some stuff out, and could be just in the releases and or the weight control. And beautiful hit and roll there.
Still, it is behind the corner garden, right at the tee line. Tyler Tardy's going to look to come down to it. Ideally, they move it back far enough to sit too, but you know, even if you sat on the corner right now, not a bad shot. Definitely looks like he's got the weight to move it. They got to get by the front one. Once they do, they'll switch for the last little bit of curl they can get. Taps it all the way through the rings, rolls over to the back of the button. Cooey sitting two once again. Gauthier looking at it. Is there potential double there? Kind of indicated like he was just going to try to hit and roll over beside it, but with that broom, he's got the broom in the middle of the rock already.
I think we're going to see some heat. Yeah, he
like
looked
he's going to throw some heat.
Yeah, he looked quickly back there to make sure that the jam isn't there, but that rock rolled out far enough that won't be an issue. So I think he was going to take a full crack at throwing the peel weight and seeing if he can get right over and even make that double.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you play this weight if you're just looking to roll over and group them. I think you play something you can control a little more.
He has to hit this pretty thick, though. The striking bands aren't quite as active as most of the stones that they're used to playing. So you have to hit a big chunk of this to get it across and move that up.
Catches about half, does come into the side of the other stone, and enough to push it all the way out the side.
That was a fabulous shot, though.
Caught the stone at the back as well, but just a piece of it, so removes it from play. Didn't jam anything. So we've got Kevin Cooey looking for a blank again with 3 stones left to play. He'll try to just hit this probably right on the nose, maybe roll a little bit to the broom side. And then expect Jacques Gauthier to play aggressively for a roll behind cover, and it'll be a long roll behind not a lot of cover.
Yeah, if he can get this to roll a little bit of broom side, he's going to be pretty safe at keeping it in the open for his last shot.
He's really curling on them. Doesn't want to roll towards that guard and make the little roll under cover a little easier for Jacques Gauthier, and he did. Now, no hit and roll is ever as easy as some of these players make it look, but once you start getting down to like about a 2-foot roll, this is in their comfort zone. They make a lot of these. It's a shot they play a lot. Both teams, all of these teams.
Well, they've also seen this line pretty good too. This is just exactly where they had the hit and roll just a few shots ago, so they know what this does, and they'll be throwing with confidence with this one.
Of course, we saw from the last end, he doesn't have to leave Kevin Cooey very much of this stone out from behind the guard, and Kevin will have a chance for a blank. This one's curling on him already. Definitely not rolling behind the guard. The question is going to be, does he keep the shooter in the rings at all? And it will slide out the back. So Kevin Cooey already down at the hacks, nothing in the rings. A chance to simply throw one through. Picking a spot they probably haven't seen yet. We haven't seen a lot of hits thrown inside out, so playing the in turn towards the corner, they'll clean it all the way down just so They don't have any disasters. Put another blank on the board in the third. After 3 ends of play, the score continues to be Jacques Gauthier 1, Kevin Cooey nothing. Cooey with last rock when we come back.
Hey, wake up. There's so much out there to see. Look up, look down. Quick, look over there. Look for a little trouble, but not too much. Open your eyes to something new every day. The hustle, the bustle, the calm, the serene. Maybe then you'll see that sometimes you have to go far to get a little closer. So wake up. The day is far from over. Seize the days.
Sometimes curling just isn't as fun as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Sean Joyce, Jeff Chambers on the call for you here this semifinal, the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown. 1-0 still the score as we begin play here in the fourth end. The tight center guard thrown by the Gauthier team with the first stone. Then we see this end, the Cooey team opting to throw their own corner. And we didn't get back in time to see the call there. I don't know whether Gauthier was looking for a come around or a second guard.
Yeah, he was
I'm sure they weren't looking
for
the,
yeah, he was
sure they weren't looking for the tap.
But it actually caught a pick on that one, Sean.
Okay.
So it wasn't just an overcurl. It just before the hog line, it grabbed something and it went sideways, so they went to plan B on it.
Well, the plan B worked out okay for them. They did get a bite of the top 12 and left it buried. That's important because in the 5-rock free guard zone, Kevin Cooey can't really make a play on that and risk peeling the guard. Everything would go back if he did that. So going to play the come around on their corner guard. He threw it for a reason, try to use it. Now, as a guy who skipped most of my life, I find that exchange interesting. Jacques Gauthier asked him how much he had. The second is in the hacks, and probably told him he didn't have very much. But when the skip calls down and asks before his own throw, how much can you guys see from the hack? He would have told him that was half a rock. They always tell it, when the skip's throwing, they always tell you can see more.
Yeah, you can see more.
It's got a good setup in the middle if they can get around it. The two stones, if Cooey was to play any kind of a run back, they're not lined up to go straight back. You'd have to play it over the top, or over the top. And this one, just not quite the weight. Comes down, rubs off their other stone. Has two sitting now in the 12-foot, but shot rock continues to be the yellow stone behind the corner guard belonging to Cooey. The center is getting a little cluttered for him, though.
Couple of different options, but
Yeah.
that one's a little bit harder to curl in there and get that roll. But Kevin likes to set them up and get ends set up for big ends, and
Well,
so
you know what he's
to see him
thinking.
try to take that on.
You know what he's thinking too, because it's a better result if they can make this one. And you're right, it's harder. In fact, I think I even heard Kevin say that. But you could actually roll into the rings and get a second one behind the corner guard as well. So better result. It also would leave the outturn side of the sheet open. Oh, this one's taken off on them. Gonna be on the guard, and well, I'm losing track of how many bad breaks, because it's not just that he clipped the guard, comes into the rings and pushes his own shot stone into the open.
The team's just not as sharp. I commentated on the game last night with Team Cooey, and they were firing on all cylinders, and just making just about anything they looked at and setting up some ends. So both teams are struggling a little bit with the ice this morning, and basically every miss that we've seen so far, Sean, is from an overkill. So there's a lot of action out there that they're just not anticipating in time. And not sure if that's just the weather hasn't changed that much outside. I'm not sure if the rocks have changed a little bit, but something's throwing off the guys for sure.
There's only 2 games out there this morning, so there's nobody playing on either of the sheets beside them. Don't know if that would make that much difference. Talked about a few options here. You had to assume they were going to make a play on shot rock. This is not as easy as it looks. Yes, there's a big hole there, but it's a reverse stagger. That guard, the corner guard, quite a bit higher than the one in the 12, and you're curling off the guard onto the one in the 12. And we've seen how much movement there is here when you throw quiet. You're going to have to be close to both guards to make this port. Sweeping for every bit of curl they could get. Not able to get by the high one. With that nice control weight, comes into the 2 reds and doesn't kill either of them, but really didn't help himself either. Left one on the center line.
In that situation, it undercurled, and that could be the fact that maybe there's just a little bit of overcorrection. A lot of times when you're throwing that first rock and over curls on you, you're sitting in the hack, and instead of just throwing that rock, you're like, okay, I'm gonna really make sure I get out there, and he might have even set that just a little and held straight on him. So
Kevin Cooey asked one question and has 3 players coming down to look at it.
well, this is I don't think this is any shock. It's definitely not a shock to us or to the viewing fans that watch. Cooey likes to discuss shots, and the whole team a lot of times gets involved with that. And we've mentioned a couple times with the games that I've done is without a time clock, it kind of allows, it's an open season for having these longer chats and going through a lot of different scenarios.
That's all right, though. In a bonspiel like this, this is where you get so many ends with rocks in play, because nobody's having to play an end wide open to bank time. I think a lot of the discussion here comes from the fact that rock splitting the center tight to the rings is a problem stone for Kevin Cooey. He'd love to be able to do something with it, but it's hard to get any good result out of your shooter that way. You might be able to roll, bite the rings behind the corner guard, but if you do, it's 4th shot. And your chances of bringing it back into play aren't very good. If you're not playing the middle one, what are you playing? Hard to get around the 2 reds on the corner, so they're looking at perhaps playing the run double there. You might be able to double the 2 reds on, if you look at it from the overhead, double the 2 reds and have your shooter come into that red on the center line and maybe bite the 12-foot off that. Like, really, where else could you go? There's no benefit to hitting the red at the back. You just leave a double. You come around your own corner guard, your 3rd shot at best, and you might be 4th.
They might just look at that top and try to make that outside double and get a little bit of roll in with the shooter.
I think that's all they've got, really. Or, I should rephrase that. That's probably the best option they've got available. It's hard to bring a stone in right now for second shot and put it in a good position. Your best bet would be to come around this corner, but those two reds so close together, if you bury it, it's a pretty routine double run back. As routine as a double run back gets, anyway. Bradley Thiessen looking for the double here. Love to come across and move that stone off the center line too. Doesn't necessarily need to kill it, but wants to move it.
Right.
And there's another in the long list of bad breaks already in this game. Off the double, it comes across into shot stone and stays there. Now, Cooey does have second and third. He caught the back end of the stone just outside of the house and spins in to bite the 8. There is no double available for Gauthier. It's a bit of a bad break for Cooey in that he left that red stone in the back of the 4-foot, but the way the
I'm pretty sure they weren't expecting that to shoot over on such a steep angle. That's a geometry class there. It looked like it was going to go underneath that all day long if you caught any part of it. So pretty shocking.
Still works out for him though. He's got second and third, and really Gauthier's got nothing to hide behind. No double available. If he hits second shot rock, he's going to leave a double. If he hits third shot rock, in all likelihood, the shot rock is still exposed with a chance for Cooey to sit 2. I guess the ideal here might be to make the hit, just roll over to the other side of the center line and protect your shot stone. Needs to cross it just a hair. Makes the hit.
That's an interesting way to play that, coming across the face there a little bit with the out turn. That might be just a player preference in that situation, Sean, that he probably likes his out turn a little bit stronger than his in turn. Because normally you're coming into the shots.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Player preference and to some extent team. I see a lot of teams, though, because to play the other turn, he's got to flirt with the center line. And yes, the center line is just, but psychologically, nobody ever wants to have to cross the center. We've seen too many surfaces over the years where crossing the center was difficult, and it's usually not the case anymore, because in many of those cases it used to be that the ice was dished to the middle to make it curl. Now we know that if you condition the rocks, you don't have to do that, so it's not really usually an issue anymore, but it's still, you've kind of trained yourself over the years to play it that way. Tyler Tardy with the double rolls his shooter in behind the corner guard. So Cooey sitting shot and third right now. Gauthier has access to the shot stone, but tough to not leave a double here. He can roll behind the corner. That's what he's looking at. Might be able to sit 2 there, but then they're well behind the tee line, behind the corner. He already knows Kevin Cooey's going to try to draw in front of it. What else do you have? You roll the other way, he plays the double. Brusher so far, now starting to move. Not going to get the roll. Chance now for the Cooey team to play the roll, and they'll play it just a little bit differently. They probably wouldn't mind leaving it angled onto that red stone at the back. Doesn't need to be dead buried here, so what would you say, Jeff? He rolls this about a quarter buried under the yellow stone? Even a half, maybe?
Yeah, that would be ideal. The other shot he could have done too is with controls, try to just make that light little double and roll over to split, but he's going to try to get another one somewhat buried here to see if he can get on a bigger end.
I think he likes having them behind the corner anyway. This is really going again. not going to get by their own stone at the top of the 12, I don't think. Playing for the thin rub, can they get a good break for a change? Well, he does make contact with that stone, and so that leaves the shooter as shot rock, second and third belonging to Gauthier, but definitely a double available on those two now, so critical that Jacques Gauthier stays there.
That really took off. I know that they jumped it out of his hands, but the amount of curl that did, it's you'd think that it must have caught something on the ice to move that hard. And it's pretty rare out here. We've been very fortunate in the last couple big events that Swift Current's hosted here. The ice has been very clean. We have had very few picks out there, but something's happening this morning that's causing them some grief out there. So I'm not sure if it's debris on the ice or something's grabbing, but we've seen some pretty wild shots from these teams so far.
Gauthier looking for the hit, wants to stay right there, and he will. Kevin Cooey apparently off the surface right now, and from what I've seen of this weekend, it wouldn't totally surprise me if Kevin just went to get a couple more layers. He has looked like it's a little cold out there for his liking.
Yeah,
and here he comes with the coat.
Yeah, there's been quite a few comments made from the local viewers, and I was even asked the other day. I was actually over watching a hockey game, and people were asking me about the curling, and they said that, boy, that Cooey, he just looks so cold out there. He's bundled up all the time, and I'm like, that's his style.
It's not just him. I've never seen so many hoodies at a competitive spiel in my life. There's been a lot of hoodies out there, but Kevin you're right, he's taken it one step further, and you did see as he came back into camera view, he's got the winter coat with him. It's in the backboards. He won't wear it to throw, but he'll probably throw it on after this end is completed, and he'll wear it for the first 12 shots next end.
Yeah, definitely the jackets stay out. It's a little cooler surface out in the curling club than especially when they play in arena ice and arena events. But it is a little cooler out there with the temperature. And you see a couple guys in the short sleeves, like Bradley's out there with the short sleeves already. But yeah, definitely Kevin's been looking like he's tremendously cold out there with the hoodies and extra jackets.
Be honest though, if you had Bradley Thiessen's arms, you'd be out there bare armed too, just to make sure. You don't put all that work in the gym just to cover them up.
I guess, yes. Yeah, we're talking about just how physically in shape these guys are, and how the game's changed over the years to how effective sweeping can be for your teams, and the guys are putting a lot of times in the gym and really physically training their bodies so that they not only can sweep and keep up with that, but just the endurance of playing so many games in such a short period of time.
Cooey's team taking a little bit of time to discuss this shot, and it's not that there's no triple there. That's not what he's looking for. He's not looking to create a triple. What he's looking for is to find a way that he can group the red stones. Now he'd like to make a double here, so they're looking at playing the red stone that is shot rock come pretty much straight sideways into the red at the back of the 8 foot. They'll push it into the other red, and they hope to move it just far enough that that stone at the top of the 12 foot would be third, and then hoping that they've got a double left after that. The other thing they examined was play the obvious double, the two stones close together, and could they roll into a spot where Jacques Gauthier would have to leave them a double for the last one. And that's the kind of thing they have to do. They're thinking the last 3 shots through as to how do we get a shot for 2 out of this. And basically it comes down to he needs to make 2 doubles to do it. Makes the hit on the first one, rolls towards those 2 stones, but not able to get to them, make any kind of movement on them. Now Gauthier going to be faced with that same kind of thought process as you know how hard Kevin Cooey can throw. You don't want to leave him any kind of chance for the triple, so where do we have to end up with the shooter? He knows he's hitting this rock. They look at the nose hit. which might leave a triple, although it would be a little risky. Or they can roll all the way across to near that stone in the 8-foot, basically on the other side. But if you're playing any kind of roll, and we're only in the 4th end, but how many times have we seen it already in this game, Jeff? You play for any kind of a roll, rock takes off on you a little bit, and you roll out.
Yeah, it's happened many a time, so they're going to probably be playing this on the safe side, but you're right, they're definitely going to want to play for that roll, so I'm going to have to call this really tight.
We're on the brush early, haven't really left it yet. Makes the hit. Does roll over just to the other side of center. You could probably make a double there. I don't see a triple.
Yeah, that's just too flat to get over there with what he needs to do. So he'll have
you could get over there, but all you're going to do is push one red onto the second one, and the middle one's just going to stay there. If you were 2 down coming home, you might take a pass at it. You'd have to hit the first one, come almost into the side or back side of the second one, try to drive it across the top of the third one. Hard to hold the shooter. Certainly not something he's going to play in the 4th end when he's got a chance to simply tie the game here. So Kevin Cooey, final stone in the 4th end, facing 3. Looking to make a play on the shot stone back to the 4-foot. Eric Martin cleaning it all the way in. They'll hit that right on the nose with a piece of the button at the back. Put a single point on the board for Kevin Cooey. We're all tied up now after 4 ends of play. It's 1 apiece. Jacques Gauthier will have last rock in the 5th.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Fifth end underway. The center guard was thrown to start the end. They come around, you see just stopping full 12. And really on this ice, a rock in the 12-foot could be used as a guard. So Kevin Cooey asking Eric Martin, at least the initial call, was to come around both of those stones into the 4-foot. Not sure if the discussion was just about the ice perhaps, or how deep he wants this to be. Brushers staying close to this. They'll wait for it to curl. You'll see big movement as it comes into the house. They'll switch the sides of this Brushers, trying to carve it a little farther in behind the guard. It does come to rest. Back 4 foot, probably about 2/3 behind cover.
Gauthier took a little time to think about that, but normally Skip's pretty happy when they see the opponents go to the back button and allow you to draw in there.
You know, I think the unhappy is he doesn't want to play this hole in behind the center guard, but he's got a choice to make here. Do you come down to the back one, or you try to draw a top 4? If you're coming down to it, you probably want to stay on the corner a little bit. Your thinking then would be that we're eventually going to blast these rocks and we'd like it to roll away from the center. They play it dead buried top 4, and it does look like they got shot rock out of that. But this is the reason why, if you've got last rock, you don't really want to play the end around the center guard. Kevin Cooey's going to corner freeze to that, and now your scoring area really shrinks.
As soon as you go up to start cleaning up the guards, that's just allowing Cooey to put more rocks into positions that he wants to have them.
Not sure this one's got the weight to get there, though. Brusher's working it really hard. Gonna just rub off the stone in the top of the 12 foot. Didn't get right down to the shot stone, but left his shooter in a good spot after the rub. It's just fully exposed. So it's a dangerous stone for Jacques Gauthier because it could be promoted onto shot rock. You can't really hit it yourself without running the risk of jamming it onto your own. So he's looking at the first indication was try to freeze across the face of it just to try to angle him to go by. And I think in the end, the analysis was we're just starting to get too much clutter here in the middle. Let's peel the center guard.
Nice clean throw.
Cooey, one quick look over each shoulder just to make sure that was 5, I guess.
I wondered the same thing.
Well, the other thing that he might be looking at is, okay, how many rocks are we into this end? Because you see this cat and mouse game all the time. Kevin Cooey here is going to put the corner guard or the center guard back in, and you understand what he's thinking. They just peeled the center guard. They must not like it there. Maybe we should put it back. But you do know, and all of these teams do it, Kevin does it himself. At some point in time, if you put up one too many guards, Gauthier will ignore it and come around and try to set up 2 or perhaps 3. You don't necessarily always know when your opponent's going to make that decision. But it could have been Kevin Cooey counting the rocks thinking, okay, well, there's no chance he's going to do it this early in the end, so we're going to throw one more guard for sure. Didn't get all the way back to center this time. Jacques Gauthier not even thinking about anything else, though, going to play the straight peel on the guard. Had access to his own stone in the 12 foot that he could have tapped up that time, so when he didn't play it, my thought would be he likely would peel the next guard as well. Kevin Cooey, we're into third stones now, and his first thought is to play the double. I'll be honest, I thought they might throw one more guard. You're going to play the double now. I expect the shooter will stay in the rings, but you're giving Gauthier 4 chances, well, 3 chances really to make 2 doubles and set up the blank. Needs to make contact with that stone at the top of the 4-foot though, and it drives it by. Well, now that leaves a pretty easy double at the top of the 12-foot and the chance to roll to the corner. Gauthier could sit shot and third, and there wouldn't be a real easy double there.
Yeah, that just missed by a hair. They didn't jump it early either, so it just kind of jumped on them at the end a little bit more curl than they were anticipating. But boy, that just missed by a hair.
Sterling Middleton looking for the double. It's a bit of a roll to the outside as well. Has to be careful to hold the shooter, and this really curling on them and a little too close to the nose. Doesn't kill the second yellow stone. So Cooey sitting second and third right now. The shooter did stay in the 12-foot.
It's a pretty tough stone to hit out and still stay in the rings. It'll take a pretty precise angle and weight.
Without killing your own, you mean?
Without killing your own on the back button there, yes.
And that's critical here, right? Cooey looking to sit 3 after this. Because with that stone at the top of the 12, you know, if you leave any kind of double, Gauthier's going to play it. He could sit shot in third, and we've seen those setups already in this game. You get sitting shot in third, and you're 1 double away from a deuce. And in a game that's 1-all after 4 ends of play, the first deuce might be the one that wins the game.
Well, the weight call was solid board on this one. Didn't look like a lot of ice, but looks like they found the right spot.
He's going to make contact, but I'm not sure that he's going to keep the shooter in the rings.
That was definitely a little firmer than the solid board call that we had heard. So I think that was just a little weight issue with Tyler's, and just hung out there on him and couldn't hold the shooter.
Attempting the double right now would be paper thin, so Jacques Gauthier thinking, let's hit the one on the center, try to roll towards the other yellow. If you could get a corner underneath it, that'd be great. Still be shot rock. Important to stay for shot, though. You can't over-roll this. If you leave Cooey sitting 1 here, you may see him try to split the rings, although that red stone in the 12-foot's kind of in the way of where he'd need to go. Cooey right now thinking force. Gauthier thinking deuce. Blank's not really in play just yet. Middleton with the hit and another rollout. Well, the blank wasn't in play, but it could be now. It gives Kevin Cooey a chance to make a play on redstone at the top of the 12-foot. In order to make it, he's going to have to roll towards center in order to sit 2, pardon me. Could leave a double. Put you on the spot right now so that you have a few seconds to think about it, Jeff. If Kevin Cooey makes this little roll over to the top of the 12-foot, the double will be there. It's going to be thin. If you're Jacques Gauthier, are you playing the double or are you trying to hit and roll underneath it? Those are really your 2 options. You're either thinking deuce or you're thinking blank. And it's not going to be the easiest double unless Kevin really overrolls this.
Yeah, no, I think if he rolls close enough that I think we're going to see a double attempt for sure. I think he'd love to take the hammer into the 6th end, into the even end. So I think he'll definitely take a rip at it, but we're going to find out, I think, shortly.
I don't
Did
think
he get
we are,
rolled
because
on?
I don't think he got into the rings.
Just short.
That makes the decision a lot simpler. But you can see, though, if Kevin rolls 2-3 inches further, he's in the rings, and it's a very tough double. Gauthier would still have this option available to him if he wanted to take it on. Play the hit and roll under the yellow. Still a chance to perhaps get 2 here. You probably don't want this dead buried.
No, I'm thinking half buried. I was just going to say, if he could get it half buried just to show a piece. We know that with the rocks, the way they've been moving and the team's losing it to extra curl. If you only show half a rock, you're bringing in some potential for a miss for sure. So I think half buried, even a quarter, would be pretty ideal.
And of course, if you dead bury it, Kevin Cooey will play the straight back run back, and if he ever sticks it in behind cover, you're forced.
We know that he likes to do that, so this is really curling on him again, Sean. Same spot.
He's making contact.
Keeps.
Well, he makes contact, but didn't move very far.
It seems to just have fooled him over there. We've seen a couple of those misses. So
you see the shrug even. He's not sure what happened to that one, so must have thought he threw it okay. Forces Kevin Cooey to think about this a little different. This isn't a shot that he was probably even considering. Didn't think this was going to be an option. But if you could bury around that stone that just outside the rings, you might be able to have a corner of the button, and steal's not out of the question here.
also, you can come down and it's a pretty easy split for him. And anytime you get your opponents facing 3 shot, it's never a bad thing, especially when you just saw him throw that. And the question in his mind for the hit and roll is not standard. So you could get a steal at 2. Yeah.
If you split that, he's drawn. He's not hitting because you won't have anything in the 8-foot. You're definitely playing the draw. I think they're having some discussion over which turn to play. You could get around that from either side. It does look a little more natural when it's off the center line to come from the side this side, where you'll have more of the button in your view. But the way these rocks curl, you can get dead buried on that stone from either turn. Might be thinking if you leave him a quarter of the stone from this side, you leave him a piece like that, he can't go after it because he can't roll out. So you can grab a little bit more button this way and make Jacques' final stone a little tougher still.
This is just a great example of how much curl they have out here. You're into the 12-foot and they're crossing over center line to the other side of the button. So it's the teams know there's a lot of movement out here. And
yeah, to go from edge of 8 to split the center line would be dead 4 feet. He's looking for 4.5 feet of curl here to get half buried. Still lots of room by the guard, but there you see it almost puts a blinker on at the hog line, really moving now. Comes into the top of the 4-foot, maybe nibbles the button. Only got maybe a quarter under cover. They did call that they were looking for top 4-foot all the way. I'm surprised they didn't try to bring that another 6 inches deeper and get to the edge of the center line. Maybe feeling they didn't want to leave Jacques Gauthier just a straight draw, so put a rock in a spot where he's got to throw the weight to move it. Did over curl on his first attempt. Not going to be throwing a lot of weight here, but clearly with that broom, he's not trying to draw to the edge of the button. He's going to make a play to move the stone that Kevin Cooey just threw. Oh, and this looks tight out of his hand. They are going to have to go. If this ever touches the guard, it could be 3. Good job by the brushers to hold it early, and with that Extra little bit of weight, the line holds for him. Makes the hit, rolls to the corner of the forefoot. Jacques Gauthier with another score of 1 here in the 5th end. Takes a 2-1 lead over Kevin Cooey. And it'll be Cooey with last rock in the 6th.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
I came to Val Marie to see where my mother was born, and it turns out she lived along the Northwest Mounted Police Trail. So every morning, my mom would get up, and that's the view she would have. 70 Mile Butte. Named that because it's halfway between Wood Mountain and the east end of Cypress Hills, and that's the police patrol line. And she will walk that line to school, to Val Marie, every day. What I know for sure is that whenever I need to step back and take a look at the bigger picture, this is where I come. Here, you can see more than 20 kilometers in every direction. I came for the homestead, but the Butte brought me home.
Sixth end underway. We've got the 2 center guards. The corner's been thrown out. Kevin Cooey looking to come around, sit on the corner of the shot stone. Carrick Martin's second stone. We had a shot just as we were going into the break, Jeff, of some of the crowd in attendance upstairs, the Swift Current Curling Club, and we got a little note from one of the producers a little while ago. We've got some 800 plus people watching from around the world today, including viewers from as far away as one of them indicated he was from Costa Rica.
Yeah, I've been saying this, Sean. It's just fabulous to have such great quality viewing available to everybody. We're right out of Swift Current, and thanks to SaskTel Curling Stadium, Chris Eichert was a big part of getting the camera systems in last year, and we've just enjoyed it so much. And it's given us the opportunity, a small community of only 16,000 people, to bring world-class athletes here, and we're just so excited to be able to host such big events and have some of the world's best out here competing right here in Swift Current.
Well, the internet certainly has changed curling viewership over the years, and I have a story about that. And it ties in, Curling Stadium is actually going to be involved over the next week. They are at the Pan-Continental Curling Championships in Calgary, doing some of the broadcasting for the world teams. And I've had the opportunity over the past number of years myself to do the provincial broadcasts for Saskatchewan Championship Curling. And in my time doing that over the years, I've gotten a couple of emails from different people watching from various parts of the world, including New Zealand, and one in particular that comes to mind from Australia, from a gentleman who is actually skipping the Australian team this year at that Pan-Continental Championship, Jay Merchant. And here he was just a few years ago watching the Saskatchewan Provincial Championship curling, just because, as I recall the email, it's in those parts of the world, it's tough for those curling fans to get access to watch good curling. And we're happy here to be a part of bringing that to them. Nice little hit and roll there, and bonus they chisel their own a little bit farther in behind the guard as well.
Yes, to be able to stream to so many different places, and being a morning game, to have so many viewers still able to view it, and from the comfort of their own couch at home, I think it's just fantastic. I know there's a few people at work today that have their computers on there too, and I, powers to you. Don't get caught, but
don't tell the boss.
Enjoy the podcast. But it's just neat when we're doing the games, and we get to see people from around the world commenting and where they're watching from. It's a pretty special thing for sure. It's a neat way to link just about everybody.
Well, the difference, I guess, before you talking about people at work, that they used to have to phone in sick to stay home and watch the curling game. Now they can do it from the comfort of their own office desk. I don't imagine they're getting a lot of work done though. Nice shot there to tap that stone behind the tee line. Critical that he didn't roll out into the open. If you roll too far, you'd leave a chance for Cooey to make the double. So they weren't really panicked about killing the Yellowstone or even moving it far enough back to be second shot. They needed to leave their shooter in a good spot, and they did. Riley Gleason now try to get to the inside of that. Doesn't really need to move it this time, but wants to sit in the pocket between those two reds. Perhaps have a chance to run something in and double the reds later. Seen a lot of these types of ends so far this weekend, maybe not as much today, but you've got the teams here trying to just jockey for position in the house, knowing that they'll run something in later.
Yeah, I was able to do the Epping and Cooey game last night, and every end looked like this. They got into so many big situations, and the patience level from both skips, counting on that they could make some big shot on their last one for a multiple end. So it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, the fans love it for sure.
Battle for the angles, right? Yeah,
absolutely. It sets something up in the big shots, and Cooey with probably arguably the top two shots of the event I know that I've seen so far is when they played against Laycock. He made two tremendous shots that people just didn't see out there, and he ended up scoring 5 against Team Laycock, and Team Laycock had said after they had a 90% end, and it's still not sure what happened. So it just takes some big shots at big moments, and you never know what happens.
Laycock might have been the hard luck team that way then too, because I was gonna argue with you. I think the shot of the weekend, one that I saw, and it was also made against Laycock, and it also cost him 5. It was the Jung coming through a very narrow port to make a paper thin double for 5.
Yeah, it looked like it was a really good chance to steal, and then he turned it into a 5 spot. And so, Team Laycock had 2 5-enders against them when they were both looking like they were in control. So it's the curling game can switch very quickly.
The Gauthier team taking advantage of the angle that they had there, able to remove the shot stone. Sitting 2 right now. The second shot stone at the back of the 4-foot is open. Cooey looking at playing a hit on it. The question is, are you playing the double or just roll into it? Probably wants to roll to the open side anyway, so he'll sit second and third after this. We have SEMIS a fair bit in this game. No panic to sit 2 right away. These teams are content to sit second and third, or even first and third. It's more important not to leave a double. Has to hold the shooter here. He can roll right into the side of the other one as long as he hits it thick enough, and he does. Actually removes that red one from play. So Cooey sitting 2 and 3. No real shot for a double here for Jacques Gauthier. Going to hit the more open of the 2 stones. Looking for a roll in. He'd like to roll in at least far enough to be second shot. Sweeping everything they can for some curl. He's going to hit, but right on the nose, stays there. He's third. So now, does Kevin Cooey have a shot at the shot stone where he can still hold the shooter?
Well, he has a shot. If he hits what he sees there, he can play that double and sit 2 right now, but it's a really risky shot with the amount of curl out there and hitting their own out. So I don't know if he's going to take that gamble yet or just reposition the rocks a little.
I don't think they'd play it with weight. You could play it almost like a split. Come off the yellow at the top of the 4-foot, roll towards the other one, and then to your point, you don't want to remove your own stone. If you ever happen to over curl, you could split the yellow just as easily.
It's the 2 situations he's looking at right now. He first looked at that red.
It's not actually critical to get the red stone out, the one in the 4-foot. Even if you could just pop it into the hole on the other side, you know, in a perfect world, you get it all the way out of the 8-foot and roll your shooter over and sit 2. So I think I heard the call as hack weight. If you ever papered your own, you might get a little bit lucky, put it in behind the guard, and the shooter can still come over to that stone in the corner. Boy, this is really curling, though. You don't want to hit your own thick. They've got to really work this to get it by the yellow at the top of the 8.
Oh, no.
Just touches it, but does come across, catches the red, and that was the plan B I talked about. You're sitting second and third now, and that shot stone belonging to Gauthier at the top of the 4-foot is now wide open. And that's why you throw that quieter weight. You've got a plan B. They're still disappointed. Don't get me wrong. Look, you can see the 3 players looking at it. They were within a whisker of actually making that perfect, and they'd already have their deuce set up.
But it wasn't from lack of effort from Carrick trying to hold it. You could see his face was pretty red when he was done sweeping that one. He put a lot in there trying to hold that.
Gauthier not out of trouble yet. He did talk about the double. It's a long double. If you just play the hit and roll in, you got to be careful not to leave a double back. Now, one other issue here, and just because of the position of that corner guard, he's probably got to throw this hit from the inside out. And certainly not that these teams can't make that, but from what we've seen of the Gauthier team, it certainly looks to me like he's more comfortable playing it the other way, playing from the outside in when they have an open hit. This team certainly seems to have taken the outside in path most of the time. So the decision has been made. They're just playing for the hit and roll behind cover, thinking that if they can roll there, any attempt on the double for Kevin Cooey is probably coming onto their own stone at the edge of the 8. So they don't really have to go for the double yet themselves. Probably wants to roll just under the red guard. If he rolls under his own stone at the top of the 4-foot, that probably does leave a double that goes over the top of the yellow. A lot of room yet early. They're already sweeping from the offside looking for curl. He's going to be very thin on this first one. Does come across and touch the second yellow. Not able to remove it from play. Now there might be a double on the reds. The only thing, that guard might be in the way. You can get to the nose of that red at the top of the 4-foot for sure. In order to make the double, you need to get just over the top of the nose.
It looks like he can get there. He's having a good look at that. It's tight. It's close to edge on edge, but
I think he also took a brief look at, do we ever roll just a hair broomside, stay in front of the red? I'm not sure what that gesture is about. I don't think there's any chance he's making a play on the back one. We don't have mics directly on the players. We do have ice level mics, so I can hear a little bit of the conversation. I don't think he's going for the double at all. Looks like he's trying to stay right on the nose, or if he has to roll, he's going to roll a little bit broomside.
It's in front of it.
Well, you know, there's three rocks back there, really. The red that's shot rock, the yellow second, and then another biter of the red. It's almost a wall back there. If he rolls broomside at all, how does Gauthier get this stone out? Goes back to that patience we were just talking about. These teams are willing to sit second and third, knowing that they only need one shot to get a double, and it's, in this case, could be three. I don't think you'll see Jacques Gauthier drawing, so he's going to have to hit something.
Well, whenever they're on and off, you know you're darn close to making the shot you want. This is really curling on him, though, Sean. This is over curling.
Yeah, definitely going to play it onto the back one, and that might be right there why they weren't playing it onto the back one. With that quiet weight, he actually spins it back in behind cover. He does sit second and third, but if you're Kevin Cooey, tough to get at shot rock now.
I think that was just lack of weight that he threw on that. I didn't see the final weight call, but I thought it was closer to board, and that, as you can see, was back line. Maybe hack.
Yeah, he moved 2 rocks to get to that, so probably
Maybe
just hack. Yeah. If I can answer Jacques Gauthier's question. On this ice, that looks pretty makeable. You just watched Kevin Cooey's last stone almost walk across with hack weight. So the fact that he can only see a quarter of that, well, if you watch that last one at all, getting to that stone is not that hard. The problem for Gauthier is, where do you put the next one?
I was going to say, do you like this just the straight guard, Sean, like just putting it outside and covering up that side?
It's
takes a lot of factors.
It's certainly an option. If the corner guard wasn't there, you'd draw around from the other side, sit 2. The problem is the corner guard's in the way. Can't get there from the in-turn. If he wants to draw, he's got to play the out. If you come into the 4-foot, hard to get in for second shot rock without leaving a double. If you're going to corner freeze the yellow at the top, you could argue that, and that's what they're looking at right now, if you corner freeze the yellow at the top, great shot, but there's some risk involved. If you ever bounce out, you leave a double. And really, is the corner freeze any different than throwing the guard in front of the house? Do you get anything different out of it?
That's what I was thinking too, just taking the risk out of the risk element out.
You might, I guess with the corner freeze, the stone at the back of the 8-foot, you've got it beat. Because I'm sure in the back of their mind, and they haven't pointed at it yet, but if you throw the straight guard, Are you worried at all that Kevin Cooey runs that corner guard in? That's a long run, but it's also Kevin Cooey.
Exactly.
And I think what they've decided is it kind of looks like they're just going to play the hit on the back yellow and make sure that there's no shot there for any more than 2. They know Kevin Cooey's going to make a pass at it. And if you're not playing the guard, I have to believe that they think Kevin Cooey would play that shot for 3 if they throw the guard. So just going to hit the third shot stone. They were hoping to perhaps roll under their own. They actually might have made Kevin's shot a little bit easier now. He can take a run at that stone at the back, and if he doesn't get to the back one, he'll be right on the face of the one that was just thrown. They're looking to try to decide who's got second shot. I think it's the Gauthier stone. I'm not sure. I don't think it changes the shot. Like, you could still make the shot with the same weight. You hit what you can see of the first red, you're catching the second one and moving it a couple of inches at least. And you're really still not throwing this any harder than you threw the last one. If this one under curls on you at all and you just nose hit the stone that Gauthier just threw, you're still getting a single point. So probably took some of the risk out of this. You don't have to worry about sliding by everything. Boy, that looks like more ice to me. Like with that amount of ice, they may be throwing this even quieter still. Doesn't have to move either one of these stones very far. 6 inches on the first one and probably an inch on the second one would do it. This will be all up to the brushers. Carrick Martin on it early. Are they playing the split on the top one?
They are playing the split.
Were they playing that all the way, or was that plan B from Tyler Cardy?
I think that was a plan B by Tyler, but that would be an interesting conversation to have.
Well, he gets one out of it.
For sure. Yep.
1 point on the board for Kevin Cooey. We're tied up again after 6 ends of play. It'll be Jacques Gauthier with the last rock when we come back for the 7th.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
The roaring game. We all love it, but sometimes curling just isn't as fun. as it can be on the Nintendo Switch. Don't get stuck in your curling club this year. Learn the game inside and out. Play for your favorite country and take the curling world by storm. With up to 4 players per console, you can enjoy curling with your friends and family anywhere, anytime. Let's play curling. Available now only on Nintendo Switch.
Sean Joyce, Jeff Chambers with you here from the IG Wealth Management Western Showdown, live in Swift Current. Semi-final action here on Monday morning. We've had an outstanding game between Kevin Cooey and Jacques Gauthier, and Gauthier managing to, you'd almost have to call it, Jeff, I think, escape with only giving up the single there in 6. Kevin Cooey had a shot. Granted, not an easy shot, but it's the kind of shot you expect Kevin Cooey to make. Only able to get the single.
Yeah, there's been just a couple misses each end, actually by both teams, and that's when you're looking at the scoreboard. If you just joined us, you're like, oh boy, this is a low-scoring, boring affair, but it's been anything but that. Lots of rocks in play, every end, lots of situations, angles here, doubles there, and it just, neither team can seem to finish off the end to build up and get that multi-point end. But it's been no shortage of trying out there for sure, Sean.
Yeah. I always find these ends enjoyable to watch. It's the cat and mouse. And again, we talk about that cat and mouse game a little bit. When you play the 7th end in a tie game like this, Jacques Gauthier would love to blank, keep last rock into the last end. He'll take a deuce if it presents itself to him. Kevin Cooey, on the other hand, he doesn't want to see a blank under any circumstances. He'd be happy with a single point either way, whether he steals or gives it up. And you just wonder in a game like this, I even would go so far as to say I would bet Kevin Cooey would rather give up 2 here than see a blank. And that might matter because it could come down to a spot where if there's only 1 stone left in the rings when Kevin Cooey comes up to throw his last one, he would freeze to it rather than hit it. Because he does not want to see a blank end.
He's shown us that many times in the past. So I can guarantee we're going to see as many rocks in play as we can, especially with Cooey. They'd love to weld one on here. This is a great opportunity for them to get shot rock and then basically just try to hide.
Doesn't get quite the curl they were looking for. Does leave a quarter of that stone out in the open, but it is shot rock. And that was the 5th rock of the end. So Gauthier discussing, do we peel the guard? Hard to play any kind of double peel. 2 yellows, 1 would be coming back into the rings. He is talking about the possibility of getting maybe 4 rocks moving. Peel over the top. I think the second wants to throw it. I heard it's worth a try, and I don't think so.
I was just going to comment the same thing. I wasn't sure if you were able to hear that or not, but I thought, oh, that's pretty good. They're going to want to make sure they get on the same page here.
I think he talked him into it because with this broom, it looks like they are trying the double peel. Jason Ginter, big weight on the in-turn. How many bad breaks can you see in one game? He just touches the second stone, and in so doing, leaves 2 guards still overlapped. Now, at least it's off the center line, but shot rock now, the one in the corner of the button, is completely buried. And a quarter of that was sticking out before.
I think we're probably going to see a guard from Kevin. It's just that where do you position it to try to avoid them being able to double them out in one?
Well, it doesn't matter where you put the guard. There's going to be a double peel available. You're worried about leaving a triple. There is a possibility. I thought he might look to play the red stone in the top of the 8-foot. He glanced at it. Probably wouldn't play it this early, but it is there for him to to move that back and roll a piece under cover, and you get both that way, would get protection for the shot zone and get rid of that dangerous red at the top of the 8 foot as well. That's the kind of rock that could be used for Jacques Gauthier to tap it onto shot stone and still have a chance for 2, perhaps even 3. But you make the guard, he doesn't have access to that just yet, and you wouldn't expect him to play that this early. He wants to clean up the guard situation a little. So they play that card a little bit longer. There was always going to be a chance for the double peel. Critical thing here for the Cooey team was to make sure they didn't leave a way to get rid of all 3 guards, and I don't think they did. Jason Gitter will look to hit this on the outside. One red onto the yellow. Try to spin both reds out of play, but he hits it a little too thin and stuffs it. Does get rid of the overlap on the guards now, so there are raises available.
So fans might also, that are watching, be wondering why the voices don't always match in the background, and it's because we don't have the directional mics on. We just have surrounding mics around the Swift Current Curling Club. And the other game that's being played, this is more in the middle of the sheet, but the other game is played on sheet number 2, which is really close to the edges, and so we can definitely hear the team Dean. They're playing 3-handed, but they're definitely boisterous, and you can hear them a lot in the background. So just if you're curious at what those sounds are, that's from sheet number 2 and the Dean rink.
Yeah, 4-2 there as they play in the 6th end. Dean has last rock trailing. So a couple of tight games here in the semifinals. Hardy trying to get to the inside corner of that red top 8. Should they get just to the inside? I think enough to the inside. But the critical thing there was they had to get it past where they could use the yellow-red to get to shot rock. And actually, there's a bonus for the Cooey team. That yellow-red might still clip the red at the back of the 4 foot. So the problem for Jacques Gauthier now is you peel the guards one more time, and Cooey can probably double the reds and sit 3. Now you're looking at a force.
Yeah, we might see him move into the house instead and try to beat him in there and go for that deuce. If he came down and just did a draw tap, kept his in front of the yellow, and then just tapped that red back a bit, he'd be in pretty good shape right now.
Well, and try to reset the angle on the 2 stones at the top of the house. If you get to about 3/4 of the yellow, tap the red back enough so that the yellow would clear it, you're back to red yellow might be lined up onto the shot stone.
Yeah, you would have to ignore the 2 guards up front, and then you're only dealing with half a sheet for your last draw. So yeah, it's a tough choice whether to not peel those guards. That's what he's going to do. He's going to go up there and see if he can clean up some stuff yet.
Try to make the double peel, I guess.
We could see a lot of fireworks. That yellow could come straight back in, and
right.
Who knows what happens with him.
Yeah. Doesn't even mind if it comes and clips the 2 at the top of the 8 foot, because right now the angles on those favor Kevin Cooey, but just makes the straight peel on the long guard.
I hate to be a copycat, but here's back to your cat and mouse that you like to discuss. He could easily come in there and make a great play, and we literally would see 4 yellow rocks remain. But Kevin Cooey is one of the most patient skips in the game, and he's not afraid to keep prepping and force the action into the house.
Well, and he's in a pretty good spot right now too. He might very well be feeling like Jacques Gauthier has to make the first move. Otherwise, somebody's scoring a single point this end. And again, Kevin Cooey Talked about it off the top of the end. He's happy to see a single go on the board either way. You play the guard and turn around and, okay, your shot. Jacques Gauthier is still faced with the same problem. If he peels the guard, eventually, Kevin Cooey, whenever he wants, can make you face 3, and you're forced.
Yeah, and that was a very good guard. It took away the opportunity to come in and do the draw tap onto that stone, and just and nothing but yellow rocks up there if they are promoted forward. So Kevin, pretty confident right now in where he's sitting.
Peel the guard, you're probably getting forced at some point in time, but if you don't peel the guard, it's pretty hard to ever generate 2. Needs the double peel, really. Catches it enough to change the angle, but really I think all that did was, if Kevin Cooey wants to play the second guard now, he just guards the shot stone. We are on to skip rocks now. He could make his play in the house right now. Looking at the come around, I'd be surprised if he plays it that way. Riley Peason looking at, it's the short run, yellow onto red. Probably catches that red at the back of the forefoot. And if you spill just right, he probably puts something in front of the shot stone. Cooey looking at the come around to the top of the button. The problem with the come around, as I see it anyway, is that then that yellow-red or yellow-yellow-red combination will come onto the stone you're about to throw, and you might leave a double on the yellows.
And that's what I was thinking too. But Kevin's gone to that shot a couple times already. He's looks like he's selling the team on it. Whereas
he's not looking at straight draw. He's looking at a tap on the yellow. So move the yellow back about 8 to 10 inches, get to the inside of it, and then the yellow-red at the back of the forefoot will create kind of a pocket or a wall to protect the shooter from the backside. I think you want to be careful to leave it for second shot, but yeah, you don't want to sit right on the corner of it, and you'll see Jacques Gauthier play the yellow-yellow-red to double the red yellows in the forefoot. Probably remove that the stone on the tee line back probably a full rock's width and still have a piece of the button, so he'd be sitting 2. Wants to make sure he gets to the inside of it too. Stay right there on the nose. If you'll have a chance to blast the double. Sit 2, granted shot rock would be back button. The brush early.
Heard back 4 weight, which is what they're wanting.
The weight they're looking for. It's all a question of the line. He's got room by the front one. And once he's by the guard, they'll switch to sweeper, try to get it curl a little more at the end, and does nudge that stone back. I don't know. I think the yellow-yellow-red still doubling those yellows. At the very least, it's moving them, and right now, I don't know if Jacques Gauthier's got any other choice. Probably try to hit this ever so slightly off center. Well, if he's going to use drag on the back two, which he might need, the yellow-red at the top 12, he's going to need to hit that if we look at the overhead. Wants to hit the second yellow on the left side from the overhead, so he's going to want to hit the first one 2/3. And I think he's throwing the outside, so it looks like he's throwing the out turn, so 2/3 low, probably close.
And I imagine coming with heat, he's trying to basically move around 4 yellow rocks plus his red one. So there's going to be a lot of granite moving here. It's all in tight quarters, though, so it's hard to say how they're going to react with one another. But
yeah, and he's hoping to spill, the 3 stones at the top of the rings. He doesn't want to see any of them stay close to the center line. He wants to make sure he's going to have a path into that button area with his last one. There is a chance that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rocks could leave here. That's not the side he wanted to hit. I heard them calling gotta go, but really he needed to hit the other side of that first stone.
I assume we're going to get some conversation here on where exactly they want to put this rock. They have a couple different options, whether they protect the one that's already in there or they bring another one in that they think they can even make better.
Well, they don't. They don't need to protect it. Jack's got no shot on it directly because it jams. There's a double. If you leave him the shot at the nose hit on the top one, so you might throw a guard on that, and I think this is more likely, they'll play the draw on the out-turn side. The question, though, with the out-turn draw is, do you come right back to the red one? If you leave it in the top of the 4-foot, there might be a straight back triple available. I saw somebody look at, do we ever play to move it, sit 4?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at this.
I have to believe they're going to make a play towards that red stone, whether they do it just as a straight draw.
I guess it also depends too. If you're looking at, in this situation, you're looking at one now. Would Kevin rather force them to one or steal one coming home? Does he want to protect with one being one up, or would he rather have one down and try to get his deuce? It's again a preference on the team and how they like to play.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but when you don't have last rock, I don't know if you've got a lot of control over that. I think what the decision it's coming down to here is, if you want to try to steal 2, and it is possible in this end, if you put this stone right beside your other one, top button, there's a chance you steal 2 here. The problem is, if you put it there, really Jacques Gauthier's only shot is to play the nose hit on the stone in the 12-foot, and if it ever makes the double and spins out up the top, Gauthier actually could score 2. If you don't throw, it's tough for him. I guess the double's still there. He could score 2. Whereas if you play to the back one, you're guaranteed he's not going to have a shot for 2, but you are going to leave him a shot for 1. So it looks like what they've decided to do here is try to move that back stone and at least make him shoot against 3, perhaps 4 if they get it all the way out the back. And they're not going to leave him any backing either. If you just draw to that back red stone, he can follow it down, sit on top of you, get his single point that way. So you move the red one, roll to the corner a little bit. He's going to have to draw cold to the button.
So on this early,
they'll sweep it early to make sure they're by, and then in this case, they're going to have to stay on it all the way because they definitely want to roll. Not going to get the roll. It really doesn't matter how far back you move it if you don't roll. Does give Gauthier to draw down to it. He'll need to get to the inside corner.
I don't think Kevin will be upset with that. I think he's pretty content at giving up 1 here and
yeah, I do think he wanted a little bit more weight. I think he was trying to pass it back far enough to at least sit 3 in And again, if he rolls about a foot off the center line, Gauthier doesn't have backing for the draw. He's going to have to make a decision. Do you just nose hit this and concede one? Or do you try to draw to the button against 2 stones in the 4-foot? Really no choice here now. And he does have backing for the draw. Brushers both down right away. Backing away a little bit now. They have to wait for it to curl, but again, both brushers down. Needs button to score, and if he comes up short, it would be a steal of 2. They're going to have to go on this.
He did not have a weight there. It's a surprising throw there.
Light all the way. It's a steal of 2 for Kevin Cooey. So he will take a 2-point lead for the first time in this game ahead. Jacques Gauthier will have last rock in the 8th.
Had some questions about if our houses are painted or are they logo. Our events are always painted houses, but in the future coming out, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going to all logo houses. They're a great revenue source for any curling club. You can get your advertisements on there, and usually after the first year, the houses are paid for. It's all free money for you. So hopefully check Jet Ice out for your future in-house logo.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Eighth end underway, and after the steal of 2, Kevin Cooey, no thoughts about throwing the guard here. Plays to the top of the 4-foot. Jacques Gauthier asking for the corner guard. You knew when Jacques Gauthier got into the hacks for that last one, it was probably going to be either 1 point for Gauthier, or as it turned out with where Cooey stopped with his last one, it would have been a steal of 2. But as the end was setting up, it was looking like 1 point either way. And had it just been a steal of 1, that changes things significantly here for this end. It's really hard to stop a team in the 5 rock free guard zone from scoring 2. But for Kevin Cooey now with a 2-point cushion, not throwing guards, he's going to play these right into the rings. Yes, as I said, it's real hard to stop a team from getting 2. But if you don't let them have a lot of extra guards, you're not running the risk of giving up 3. A lot of times you'll see a team in the Cooey situation, if you're only 1 up coming home, they almost have to play it like they're trying to steal. He doesn't have to do that now. So they bring the first 2 stones into the rings. Gauthier looking for corner guards on opposite sides.
Sean, have you noticed a trend with the teams when they're in this kind of situation and they they need the double guards? Have you always seen them stick to the splitting the both sides, or have you noticed some teams going to the same side and putting one in the 1 zone and the 3 zone and stack them up that way?
Certainly not. Certainly exactly like what you're just talking about. You see it more and more. Teams are playing the corner guards, and the situation can dictate as well. They got the first guard nice and wide, so they can throw the second corner guard on the other side. And again, you'll notice they put it nice and wide so that the draw path to the button is still there from both sides. But you're exactly right, Jeff. You do see teams nowadays, in a lot of cases, when they're looking for 2 corner guards, they'll play the tight and the long, very similar to what they would do when they have to play 2 center guards in the middle. And the thought there is keep plenty of separation, so that's why you throw the long one and the tight one. And by doing that, you keep the draw path open on the other side. But in this case, as long as you get the guards wide enough, they're not in the way of that draw to the button. later on in the end when you need it.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just kind of a neat story, but it kind of links with Kevin Cooey. But Kerry Galusha, I was at an event and I was talking to their team, and I was there coaching another team. But we were discussing that's when the new 5-rock guard zone came into play, and the team was mentioning and talking about strategies, and so I sat there and I talked about, well, have you ever thought about just stacking them up on the same side instead of just always splitting? And so we went through a whole scenario, and partway through the game, I look over and the hands go up, and Carrie scores a 5-ender. And then after the end, she put on Twitter, thanks to Coach Chambers for the advice. It worked with the new guard zone. So I thought it was quite funny. We had that discussion, and for them, it worked on that one particular situation.
Well, you know, a lot of the feeling about throwing the corner guards to opposite sides just comes from tradition. Guys have gotten used to throwing when you needed to throw 2 corner guards. You throw them on opposite sides. But the other thing about tradition is tradition goes back to before we had these aggressive rocks that curled that hard. And traditionally, if you threw a corner guard, it wasn't in the way of your draw pass to the button, and now it can be.
Well, especially the way that we see this sheet, the curling in, it's very aggressive. So yeah, you got to be pretty precise on where you put those corner guards now.
The hit made, but the roll pops out into the open, so Bradley Thiessen a chance to make a play on what is second shot. This is a plan B call. He was looking to originally roll past the guard. Doesn't want to sit in behind the corner. That'd be something that Jacques Gauthier would look to corner freeze on. When they realized they weren't going to get the roll they wanted, they'd rather roll out than just stay right there and have something to jam on. The shot stone belongs to Kevin Cooey. Corner of the forefoot, he does have half of that exposed, so not in a rush to play it. Going to try to use his corner guards. Jason Ginter. Out turn draw, will try to bury one. They're talking about back 8, back 12. Doesn't matter if it's deep, just needs to bury. Well, it matters if it's deep through the house deep, but no, it's not that bad. And you see both sweepers drop off halfway to the house. Sometimes you get the idea it's heavier than they thought it was.
Yeah, I was thinking it myself. I thought, oh, that's too heavy, and then, but they actually, you couldn't have probably placed that much better spot, Sean. That's about as good as it gets right there. So
just the way they dropped out off, it looked like they were scared it was going right through the back. It is dead buried. So Tyler Tardy making a play on the guard. Throwing it with the big weight. Had they caught the back one, that's fine. As it turns out, though, they peel the guard and the shooter rolls across, and now they've got a double guard in front of what is shot rock.
So typically you'd run up and throw that guard up to protect that shot as it's potentially your second point, but he's looking at figuring out how he's going to get at that shot rock behind 2 yellows now. So could change the call and force the play to the inside so that he has something there.
You got really 2 choices here. You can draw around the middle, or the one I like is you basically hit the one that was just thrown and roll back to the corner, and if you could ever clip the shot stone, you're in great shape.
That's the discussion they're having right now, for sure.
You're not going to throw this with big weight because it's critical to keep the shooter for the corner guard if you play that. The other thing for the Gauthier team, with Tyler Tardy rolling across like that, and yes, he's covering shot right now, but if you hit and roll back, shot rock was half exposed before, it would be wide open. Just wide open if you move that guard. Sterling Middleton with his this is his first stone, so they've got 4 stones left to come. Needing to make sure they have a chance to score 2 here. I get what they're thinking, you know, part of it is they'd love to be able to come in here and try to set up 3, but you really have to make sure you're going to have a chance for your deuce.
All right, let's see if they've got the ice figured out. And like you said, this is a pretty crucial shot. If they can get a 2-for-1 special here, where they take the trouble rock away and form it into a guard to protect that shot, which would be ideal. So this is one that you want to make.
The hit and roll is the most important thing here. If it catches the one in the rings, great. It doesn't need to, though. That one in the rings now will be open. Have to hold the shooter on the corner and ideally protect a good piece of that second shot stone.
Got this a little wide, Sean. So
yeah, that's more weight than I thought they'd be throwing.
That's it.
Ends up moving both of the center guards. Leaves Cooey sitting 2. Got a chance to hit third shot, and the one corner guard that's left in play, which is all Gauthier is going to have to work with out front, is so wide that he wouldn't be able to get even second shot rock buried behind it.
I guess here's a good example of if he had both those red rocks guarding that side, he'd still be okay.
I really didn't think they were throwing that hard. Tyler Tardy here looking to hit, and in this case probably stay right there. There's already a rock to freeze to. You don't really want to roll in towards the middle any further and leave 2. Gauthier without any chance to come around. Again, coming around the corner guard. Now if you were buried, you'd be 4th shot. So he's going to try to freeze the back one.
Are you surprised he's not trying to freeze the front one, Sean? Because there's a lot of potentials, like with the if he gets a good angle, the jam on the outside, or if he hits and goes to the other side, that corner could come into somewhat play.
Possibly. I think he already, you know, not knowing where Tyler Tardy was going to end up with his last stone, I think he already had this one in his back of his mind. They were already prepared for this. You play the freeze to the back one. If you make it good, they're probably expecting Cooey to promote his own rock. But yeah, you certainly could. Corner freeze the one in the top of the 4-foot, and just because of where Tyler Tardy's stone ended up, if you make that, lock that freeze on the corner, it's very hard to get one out.
Very hard. This is looking really good if they can get it by here.
Just gets by and actually gets across the face on that yellow to sit on the inside corner. He's dead buried behind the stone at the top of the 4-foot.
There's decision time. I know Cooey's not afraid to throw the high heat and hit nose on his run back there, but it has to be very precise with that corner freeze.
Well, it's easy enough to make sure that rocks go away here. Kevin can throw it hard, like you said, but if you hit this off center and really kill the 3 stones that you're hitting, the one that you're making contact with and the 2 at the back, and then roll over towards the other corner, you actually could start to bring that corner guard back into play. Hit this right on the beak, and then with only 2 stones left, Jacques Gauthier needing to count both of them. I don't know that he's ever going to have a chance to use the corner guard. I'm not seeing a double that would be left.
Well, you know, Kevin loves those shots, and he made no mistake there.
Well, he rolled towards that corner, so you got a choice. You can play that freeze again, the same freeze you were looking at. This rock is still higher. Yeah. So you do have to get closer to the nose. You have to get probably a 3/4 freeze, would you say?
Yeah, 3/4 frozen, and that would definitely make things
3/4
harder.
probably go straight sideways.
For sure. The only other real call that I can see is a hit and roll, but it has to be so precise beyond that corner. And even if you do a beautiful roll, that's a pretty high guard. So I don't think Kevin would be afraid to come around and tap it out. So I think they're forced into this freeze right now. And
I don't think you'd have to tap it. If you roll to be shot rock, you're still going to be partly in the open. If you roll to be dead buried and your second shot, Kevin Cooey will draw, split the house, and
run you out.
I don't see how you make the double. So had that rock rolled just a little bit further though. This is really all you got. You make the freeze and hope that it's lined up so that when Kevin Cooey hits it, it's going to go straight sideways into that other yellow stone. Not a lot of room for error here. You really can't bump this. You move it an inch any farther back on that yellow, it makes it easier for Kevin to get it underneath the yellow on the other side. Same thing if you leave an inch of separation, don't get there. Rusher's staying close. You know these are going to move at the end. They have to wait on it.
The line's looking pretty good. It's just, what does he have to wait? Well, he's going to make him earn it here, Sean. That's for sure. He actually came up a little shorter.
Yeah. They waited a little too long.
Yeah. Jacques in kind of shock there that the sweepers watched that all the way in and just needed a little bit more there, and he had perfect line there. So
yeah, they just lost it at the end, and don't know whether it maybe, we haven't heard this word all week. Did it maybe just fudge down a little bit at the end, in the eighth end? Sometimes it does get a little stickier down the middle and stopped on them more suddenly than they expected.
Well, I know they did nip it a little tighter than normal, I was told, so it could be a chance that the double wore down a little bit on them, especially that's right in the slide path, like you mentioned earlier, right by the center line. So it's by the eighth end, it's easy to catch it.
Kevin Cooey with his final stone, a chance to run Jacques Gauthier out of rocks. Needs to blast this one out the side. Thinner he can hit it, the better. Makes the hit. Plenty of action on that first stone. It will spin out the side, and with that, Jacques Gauthier out of rocks. Kevin Cooey will pick up the 4-2 win here in this semi-final. An outstanding game. We talked about it earlier, Jeff, though, in a tight game like that, you just wonder if the first deuce might be the killer, and it turns out it was. Kevin Cooey with a steal of 2 in the seventh end. A 4-2 victory. He'll move on to the final. That final will be here on the SaskTel Curling Stadium at 1 o'clock Saskatchewan time, about an hour and a half away. On behalf of myself, Sean Joyce, my partner this morning, Jeff Chambers, we want to thank you all for joining us for this semi-final matchup, and we look forward to seeing you back here for the final in about an hour and a half.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Had some questions about if our houses are painted or they logo. Our events are always painted houses, but in the future coming out, I'm pretty sure we're going to be going to all logo houses. They're a great revenue source for any curling club. You can get your advertisements on there, and usually after the first year, the houses are paid for. It's all free money for you. So hopefully check Jet Ice out for your future in-house logo.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.